But I'm not a black bitch, and I'm not a savage, but I'm scared that you might cheat on me with the black hood bitch.
Taylor Swift's new album got a lot of people speaking. Hello guys and welcome back. How are you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in. I bet you're doing good. Let's jump right into this one. This is popping on the internet. Taylor Swift's new album got a lot of people saying that she is obsessed with black women. Some actually even saying she hit black women. Like, yes, I don't know what's going on. Go down in the comment section. How do you guys feel? That's some of the ladies inside a new album, and I'm gonna be playing how people are reacting to this album. Like Taylor Swift, we can read and we can hear you loud and clear. Let's go down in the comment section. How y'all feel about this? Credit to the creators for giving us this opportunity. Let's roll the tapes. Then we had more commentary.
Okay, I'm gonna be that friend that's too woke again for a second, except this time. So I made a video about the song Wishlist and how it kind of seemed like nuclear family propaganda to me. And then I saw a lot of people saying that the song Opalite was giving that Taylor Swift was really jealous and insecure about the fact that her boyfriend had previously only dated black women. And I like some of Taylor's songs, but I'm not a Taylor fan, so I don't really know Travis Kelce's lore like that. And so I decided to look it up. He dated Maya Benberry, Zuri Hall, and most recently, Kayla Nicole. And now he's dating Taylor Swift. This is just what I could find publicly. I'm not going to deep dive crazily into his dating life. But then, let's go to the song Opalite. So when I was first listening to this, like the first verse, I've had a bad habit of missing lovers past. My brother used to call it eating out of the trash, blah, 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 blah. I thought, well, maybe this is because Taylor Swift notoriously has a bunch of shitty ex-boyfriends, so maybe she's talking about them. I think if you don't keep up with the lore like that. So I was like, oh, she's just shading her ex-boyfriends and how she's just happy with Travis Kelce now. This is about herself. But then you continue in the song, and that's when I told you, and later in the song, it's not I, Taylor Swift, it's you. So we assume she's talking about Travis Kelce. Yes, and that's what I told you. It's all right. You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. In this verse, you couldn't understand it why you felt alone. You were in it for real. She was in your phone, and you were just opposed. This is clearly about Travis. He was sleepless in the onyx night, but now his sky is opalite, or whatever. But I saw people saying the onyx versus opalite comparison is clearly about race, and I didn't know my rock theory like that. Sorry. So I looked it up. And this is onyx. It is a normally black rock. This is opalite. It is a shiny, ethereal, white, milky rock. Travis Kelce was sleepless with all of his exes in the onyx night, but now with Taylor Swift, his sky is opalite. I don't know. I feel like the Taylor defenders are gonna be like, no, it's just about the symbolic spiritualism of the rock, because onyx symbolizes heaviness, gravity, resilience, and is said to absorb negativity. Opalite is tied to clarity, intuition, and new beginnings. I don't know. This paired with the fact that how many exes has Taylor Swift had? Taylor Swift has had 10 exes, all of which who are white, except for Taylor Lautner, who is mixed German, Dutch, Irish, and Native American. This is fishy to me. This is kind of fishy. Like, I don't even, but you know what's kind of funny about this, or is ironic to me, is she is comparing Travis Kelce's exes to onyx and herself as opalite, is that onyx is naturally occurring. It's natural, formed under pressure. Opalite, however, is luminescent, but man-made, manufactured.
Taylor Swift has revealed herself to be resentful of black women, or at least deeply insecure when it comes to comparing herself to black women. In the song Opalite, Taylor is referencing Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend, Kayla Nicole. The lyrics of Opalite include, you were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite. So Taylor is not only using the lyrics in the song to talk about how she is so much better for Travis than his ex-girlfriend is, which is inconsiderate on its face, what did that lady ever do to you? But she is choosing to do that using the imagery of onyx, which is typically black, and opalite, which is typically white. Or in Eldest Daughter, Taylor says, I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. The language of bad bitch and savage are primarily associated with black women, at least in this context, especially black women in hip-hop. Both make me think of Megan Thee Stallion immediately. And there were rumors that Travis was trying to holler at Megan back in 2023, shortly before Travis and Taylor started dating. So I read this lyric as, sorry, I'm not a hot, cool black woman like he usually dates. Or in Wishlist, she says they want a fat ass and a baby face. Big booties are not unique to black women, but if we're all being honest here about the associations of black women's bodies over the last 400 years, big booties are and have been associated with black women. Now, could I understand why Taylor might be insecure about this? Yeah. Knowing that thousands, if not millions of people are looking at your man's exes and then looking at you like, huh? would make me insecure too. But to be even relatively conscious of the trope of white men dating black women until it's time to settle down and have white babies, or the trope of men dating black women until they get richer or more famous, or to know the way that Kayla Nicole has been dragged to hell and back because her high-profile ex, a white man, started a very public relationship with one of the biggest pop stars in the world, a white woman, and how many people hurled racist jokes at her and black women generally for it, to know all that and still dunk on her one more time to your millions of loyal fans, for this to come up on at least 3 different songs in one album, for her to play into harmful tropes that she has to be aware of, and for so many of Taylor's fans to not notice or just not care, this album is simply not for me. There is enough thinly veiled racial resentment in the world toward black women. I don't need it in my pop.
Beautiful black woman with a white man will almost certainly trigger a white woman's main character syndrome every time. If you're a white woman that follows me right now, you better not be getting that thumb ready to scroll, please. Because that was embarrassing what happened on that other video. Don't do that. Stay and listen. Like you would want a man to stay and listen when I talk shit about men. Be the change you want to see in the world, okay? Yes, white men have like this very intense main character syndrome, but white women have also been given a very specific narrative about their place in that situation. And so they also have main character syndrome. That's where when a white man marries a black woman, it triggers white women's narrative. It triggers the narrative that something was taken from them because their whole life they grew up watching white Disney princesses end up with a white Disney prince. So that's how it goes. That's how you play the game, right? You take this doll and they go together, and that's how you play the game. What's triggered is that you are not supposed to be part of that narrative in any way as a black woman. You are not supposed to reap the benefits of being this close to the top of the hierarchy, right? It's almost like they see it in their eyes as like you've skipped a few steps on the ladder and you've ended up like, you know, in a place that they could have gotten. They are also confused because a white man isn't supposed to want a black woman. Like a white man is also supposed to be trained to want a white woman, to want the aesthetic, right, of a white woman.
Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women. Let's talk about it. Taylor Swift is obsessed with the fact that several of her exes have moved on to date black women, and she perceives this kind of conquering of Travis as an end or disruption of this pattern, and she's boasting about it in this album. Let's start with Opalite, which is very clearly about Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex-boyfriend whom he dated off and on from 2017 to 2022, and oh, Kayla Nicole happens to be black. The lyrics in Opalite could actually not be clearly more like targeting Kayla Nicole, right? It references a video that went viral a couple times in which Travis is literally berating Kayla for being on her phone. Meanwhile, she is an influencer, so that is weirdo behavior because she was working and it's very controlling, but it is very clear nonetheless that that video is referenced in Opalite. The lyric reads, "You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone, you were in it for real, she was in her phone, and you were just a pose," right? Like Taylor could not have been more obvious and like less creative here. It's not enough to me that like Taylor is using this like crazy like worldwide medium to best a woman that like previously dated her ex. It's also the fact that like Taylor is fully aware that Kayla has received like relentless and racist harassment, oftentimes terrifying, from Swifties in reaction to the fact that she previously dated Travis. So like this is like purposefully and like blatantly violent. This song accomplishes 2 things at once, right? It proves the fact that Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women and it endangers Kayla Nicole. But obviously our country is not at its best with critical thinking, so let's like analyze a different part of the song, right? So another lyric says, "But I'm not a bad bitch, and this ain't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down." So in this song, Taylor positions herself as this like unique, singular white flower that is so different from what? Black culture. And once you step back and realize the song is like final boss pick me ex racism, you realize that Taylor Swift is preoccupied with like this obsession with black women in part because Travis Kelce has predominantly dated black women in the past, and she wants to define herself as different from his past and therefore better. Again, very weird, very pick-me behavior. Taylor's not only preoccupied with this idea that Travis has historically dated black women, it's also the reality that several of her exes have moved on from her to black women, and that confounds and ultimately like enrages her, and she's so obsessed with the pattern and the idea that she had to talk about it in this album. Chris, give me examples. Okay, well, we have Harry Styles, who is now reportedly dating Zoe Kravitz. We have Tom Hiddleston, who has moved on to be engaged to and co-parent with a black woman whose name is Zawe Ashton. And then we have Calvin Harris, who went on to marry a black woman named Vic Hope. So it is a pattern, and Taylor Swift is clearly aware of it because she is obsessed with her exes, and all of that together is making me feel very, very strange. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today I'd argue that this idea, the idea that white men have historically left Taylor Swift for black women, is part of her personal mythos, right? I imagine she finds it both confounding and devastating that these men have left her, who is like the pinnacle of Western white beauty, right? She is the ideal white woman. Meanwhile, all of these white guys are leaving her for black women, and I'm sure it's really pissing her off. So when Taylor secured Travis, she achieved the ultimate feat in her mind. She had convinced a white man to leave black women for her, and the mythos is complete. She has disrupted the pattern, she is the queen bee yet again, and this album is all about her obsession with that weird mythos and her obsession with black women. At the end of the day, you know and I know that Taylor Swift is a deeply calculated and intentional person, right? She drew up these lyrics and this 8th grade symbolism very intentionally. It's very red-pilled and incredibly macro-aggressive. So I guess the moral of my story here is you Swifties, the ones who refuse to call her out on her bullshit are the same exact type of white feminist that she is. You protect bigots and you traffic in and enjoy anti-black bullshit. And that makes you a bad person. All right, bye!
I'm still gonna roll y'all more tapes. Credit to these creators, y'all. Credit to these creators. She connects the dot. She just connects the dot for us to understand why a lot of people said these Taylor Swift new albums. She just spill it out that she's insecure about blacks. You know what I mean? That she's insecure about the black women because our ex-boyfriends, they ended up being with a black woman. And we know presently right now, Taylor Swift, she is engaged with a white man again. You know, y'all, but let's throw more tips, y'all.
Taylor Swift has the fame and popularity that she has today mainly for two reasons. Number one, she's a mediocre white woman. And she reminds other mediocre white women in J-Lo that not only is mediocre okay, but it can get you very far. And I know what you're going to say, oh my God, but she's an amazing songwriter. Think about it, I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. She's been writing about the same thing for 20 years. If I were writing about the same thing for 20 years, I should be pretty good at it too. I don't And not only has she been writing the same album, different font for 20 years, but nothing about her has improved. Her dancing is still the same as it was 20 years ago. Again, she's writing about the same thing. She literally has not improved in any way in her career. And why is that? Because she's a mediocre white woman and y'all will praise her for being a mediocre white woman. She knows she doesn't have to do anything more. Whatever she does, whatever she puts out, y'all are going to buy it. Number two, and I know y'all are not ready for this one, but ready or not, here I come. Y'all still see her as a little girl who was bullied by the big scary black man on the VMA stage in 2009. Now, friendly reminder, multiple things can be true at once. Kanye was dead the fuck wrong for doing that in that moment, and at the very same time, y'all have been infantilizing and coddling this woman since it happened. That's also why y'all feel the need to constantly compare Taylor Swift to Beyonce, because in that moment, Kanye was praising Beyonce over Taylor Swift, and so since that moment, y'all have felt the need to protect Taylor Swift and defend her virtue and prove why she deserved that award and other praises over Beyonce, and have never let Beyonce know a day of peace, even though number one, Beyonce was mortified in that moment and did not want Kanye to do that. And number two, when Beyonce was on the stage, she brought Taylor back on the stage to give her her moment. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and if you disagree with me, I could not give a fuck less. Hope this helps.
Man ever loved Kayla Nicole, because if he did, I think he would have asked Taylor, please take those lyrics out. I'm not a bad bitch. I'm not a savage. I just wear glasses. The glasses part I put in there, but it's crazy to me that not only does that not necessarily singularly apply to Kayla Nicole, it's partially due to some of the racial undertones. I think it could apply to a couple of her exes' new wives, right? So this is Zalwe Ashton, who's married to Tom Hiddleston. This is Vicky Hope, who's married to Calvin Harris. And they're not married, but allegedly Harry Styles is still trying to win back Taylor Russell. So it doesn't singularly have to be about Kayla. However, the kind of bad bitch energy, which oftentimes you think of bad bitches in reference to pop culture being rappers, or particularly black women, or female rappers, particularly black women, or the concept of savage used more colloquially would be Beyonce, Megan Thee Stallion, Rihanna. So it's giving she's a cheerleader and I'm on the bleachers, which, how old is that song? How old were you when you wrote it? How old are you now? 35? You're 35 and we're still on the bleachers? You really did never leave that spot. Which, mind you, she won. She fucking won, right? Kayla really doesn't talk about her. She got the boy in the end. They're engaged. Great rock. Shout out to her. In the caption, which I thought was a little, I don't know, I felt it was a little flat, but your favorite English teacher and your football coach are getting married. You are living out your dreams. Why would you judge this back up? why would you go after? And someone can say, well, like, no, that's not, she's talking about the cultural temperature. No, I don't think so. I think she's still hung up that he dated somebody else before her, it seems like, who is specifically the antithesis of her. And that's what makes her the most upset. Maybe this idea, some of her previous boyfriends meet someone who might be also the antithesis of her in some type of way. They fall in love and they get married. Now it's her time to get married, but somehow she is not over it. Somehow she is not over Kayla. And I think that's really sad. I think it's sad on a lot of different fronts that she's Taylor's dragging this horrible drama into Kayla's life, and it's completely unfair. And I think, again, if Travis ever cared, he would be like, please let her be. Because having experienced some of Taylor's racist fans, yeah. And like, this is going to last for the next 3 months probably too. I would have said, you know, if I was Travis, I'd be like, please leave her out of this. You know what your fans are capable of.
Taylor Swift's new album is many things. Unfortunately, good is not one of them. I knew the album wasn't going to be good as soon as the title was revealed, but the promo pics made me curious, so I have listened to the album in full. And now, having listened to it, the album's problem is glaringly obvious. The problem is Taylor Swift is aging out of being a white girl. Before you scroll, let me cook. When Taylor was a teenager, she wanted to be a pop star, so her parents decided to take the country route. Keep in mind, this is the 2000s. Pop music was highly sexual, it was sleazy, and then you had things like bling rap. It's not a place for a little white girl. Country music, on the other hand, loves a little white girl, and she's blonde, they'll eat her up. So her family moved from Pennsylvania to Tennessee to launch her country career. That's why for the first several years of her career, she faked a southern accent. She was trying to fit in, seem authentic. Once the pop landscape started to change the late 2000s and early 2010s, that's when she started to transition to making pop music. And now to talk about white girls. White girls don't have sex. They don't know what that is. White girls they're cute, they're adorable, they're like dolls, they're precious, they have to be protected. Do you remember a couple months ago whenever parents would bring their kids to Sabrina Carpenter shows and then act aghast because Sabrina Carpenter, who is a highly sexual artist, was referencing sex on stage? Of course they were, because how could a short, cute little white girl who is also blonde, a blonde, cute little white girl, how could she possibly know what sex is? It's the assumption. A woman having sexual freedom and willingly engaging in sex is highly associated with blackness. You can see this most clearly when it comes to things like Disney and Nickelodeon stars. Miley Cyrus, she was Hannah Montana, all-American girl. And what does she do whenever she wanted to shed the Disney image and say, hey, I'm not just a little girl anymore? She releases Can't Be Tamed in bangers. Ariana Grande, another cute little white girl. What does she do whenever she wants to shed the childhood image? She releases Dangerous Woman in Sweetener. They would do things like hang out with rappers. They would incorporate black music styles into their own music. So that way whenever they'd be sexual, it's like, oh, I'm not just a little white girl anymore. And over time, they would drift away from that because that wasn't who they authentically were. They were just using that as a way to escape the chains of being a white girl. Taylor Swift has never had to do that, and why would she? She makes being a white girl so fucking profitable. And the thing about Taylor Swift is that being a white girl is not just profitable for her, it's her entire brand. Because she's just like so awkward. And whenever she dances on stage, she's like bad because she's like awkward. And she loves like cats and baking and like hanging out with her fans. And she would likely continue with this forever, except for one small problem. Taylor Swift is 35 years old. And it's not like she's showing signs of aging or anything, but the brand of being a white girl is very much being a white girl. What happens in a few years whenever she's 40? What happens whenever she starts to get wrinkles? Once you're middle-aged, it's not cute anymore to be awkward. So she's aging out of being a white girl, but she doesn't have a brand or really even a sense of self outside of being a white girl. Also, low-key, this is the entire key to her relationship with Travis Kelce, which is not going to go well, but that's a story for another day. And keep in mind, the world has been moving on. An artist like Sabrina Carpenter could not exist 10 years ago. There was nowhere in the pop landscape for her. For like a cute little white girl who's that sexual. It didn't exist. And then on top of that, things have been rapidly changing politically. So people want different things from women now. And the life of a showgirl is a testament to Taylor's inability to rise to the occasion. Like on the song Wish List. Oh, everybody wants bright lights and designer things and they want like a fat ass. But But me, then we get to the chorus, but me, I just want to have all of your kids. I want to have all of your kids, and then I want to live in a house, and I want the driveway to have a basketball hoop in it for our kids. And Taylor's personal struggle between her being her own woman and her being a cute little white girl is really embodied by the song Wood. It's called Wood because it's in reference to Travis Kelce's, that. But the song isn't sexual at all, because the song isn't about sex. It's about a woman justifying the fact that she has sex. The song starts with her picking petals off of a daisy. Oh, he loves me not. Taylor portrays herself as being super insecure until Travis Kelce digmatizes her and opens up her eyes. And keep in mind, white girls cannot be sexual beings. It's not that she has sexual feelings, it's that a man came along and unlocked it in her. The curse was lifted. You see, you guys, it's not about sex at all. It's about love. His love was the key that opened my thighs. I don't have sexual feelings. I'm just a little white girl. Because this album is supposed to be her embodying her sexual energy, thus, life of a showgirl. But Taylor either feels unable or isn't willing or whatever it is you want it to be. Taylor doesn't actually embody it. She doesn't explore it because the embodiment of her sexual energy would come at the expense of the brand of Taylor Swift. It's seemingly not compatible, or at least she thinks or her team thinks that it's not compatible. So she has to be her own fully embodied grown woman in order to keep up with the times, but she also has to be like a cute little white girl in order to keep up with the brand of Taylor Swift. And in trying to do both, she successfully does nothing. I would be really curious to know if the album was even her idea, especially since so many of the songs sound like rejected tracks off of some of her old albums. Also, how are you gonna have an album called Life of a Showgirl and yet not a single fucking song on the album has a brass section? Showgirl music is big band, it's blaring horns, it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it just did not exist on this album. Not to mention, none of the songs actually have anything to do with being a showgirl, and really not even the song The Life of a Showgirl. Like, she could have just used the word follies once, and I would have been satisfied. But discussing why the music isn't good sonically is not really the purpose of this video.
Some said Taylor Swift just turned Keller into a star. Can somebody tell Taylor Swift? Taylor Swift, my dear, you can settle down with a black man. You can date a black man. Maybe you should give a black man a trial for you to see why your ex-boyfriends are dating a black woman. Maybe. Who's going to suggest that? Maybe she should try that. You know what I mean? Because she put it in the music in a new album, and people read it out loud that she is insecure, and she gave a lot of people the opportunity to go down in her history books with all her ex-boyfriends and even with a current boyfriend that they have dated black women. And I think she is not comfortable with it. Somebody just tell Taylor Swift, please, my dear, hop on board and date a black man. Date a black man for you to know why these your white ex-boyfriend and boyfriend have dated black women before or are dating the black woman. It's not complicated. You know, you give a lot of people this opportunity to be picking on you, my dear. That's the way I see it. How do you guys see this whole thing? Go down there in the comment section. All y'all Taylor Swift is Swift. Let's understand what is going on. I am going to see you in the next one. Thank you to all my return subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, do not forget right here. You are going to get your best daily gist. Bye for now.